From KCRG TV9, this is First Alert Weather Now.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to the Tuesday evening edition of First Alert Weather Now. I'm meteorologist Thompson.
And I'm meteorologist Messier.
And another warm day across eastern Iowa. We certainly were on the higher end of the scale today, temperature-wise, for this time of year.
It was very warm out there. This afternoon, I did not need my winter coat, which actually felt pretty nice.
Yeah, the winds out there were the only thing that was kind of stopping that a little bit, but even those, when you're in the 50s, it's hard to beat.
I think wind chills were probably in the 40s at the peak heat of the day, so really not bad for the end of January.
Not bad at all, and we'll take it. And we'll also take a look at the forecast for fun coming up a little bit. We've also got this week's version, or edition rather, of Weatherwise.
That's right. We have another student with another great question, and we'll have that in a few minutes. But first, we'll take a look at what you need to know. Now, we do have a few things in your first alert forecast. Above normal temperatures are going to continue as a fall spring progresses. We do have a chance for some showers also at the end of the week. Right now it's looking like it'll be rain showers. We're keeping an eye on that though. And in our long-term forecast, we do have to go back to reality. Colder temperatures are expected for next week. This is the view on our Mount Vernon City Cam, a pretty quiet night. We're currently at 46 degrees in Mount Vernon. Very nice for 6:30 for one of the last days of January. We have wind chill still in the upper 30s though, and we have winds coming out of the west. On our satellite and radar, we've got mainly clear skies across the area. Overnight, we're looking at a mostly clear sky. That's what's in your evening planner. Temperatures will drop into the 20s by 6 a.m. on your Wednesday morning. So Wednesday is looking like one of those days where you need to leave the house with that winter coat, but you won't need it in the afternoon, with winds out of the northwest 15 to 25.
Chillier, but not freezing cold, I suppose is a good way to put it. At least once we get past the morning hours, just a little cool to start it off.
Absolutely. It is going to be a little chilly in the morning, but you know, it's still January. 27 degrees at 6 a.m. in January is not that bad.
Not bad at all. And we do have a few things coming up this week, both indoors and outdoors around eastern Iowa. Chief Meteorologist Joe Winters is here with your forecast for fun.
January into February, more activities going on. That means you can get outside and have some fun. So here's your forecast for fun, starting with our walking forecast. What a great time. Take Friday out because there is some rain in the morning or early afternoon hours with 42. On Wednesday, 43, 50 on Thursday. Not as windy as Tuesday, I think. That's going to be some very comfortable air if you do want to get outside and enjoy the January air. Iowa's women basketball, of course, tips off tonight at 7, not far from right now with 46. But more importantly, Sunday, it's Caitlin Clark Jersey Retirement Day. Keep that in mind. The weather right now for Sunday, if you're traveling, looks like it should be good. Owl Prowl happening at the Osborne Nature Center. That's on Friday, 5:30 to 7 o'clock. A secretive nocturnal animal. You'll learn about them. You can call in the owls. Bring a flashlight along because you will be out on the trails. Could be some rain early in the day, but I think by the Owl Prowl, it should be quiet, which is good news. Cedar Rapids Rough Riders at the Imon Ice Arena in Cedar Rapids. Puck drops on Saturday at 7:05. Lincoln's in town. Saturday also Fargo comes to town. So again, a couple of games coming up at the Imon Ice Arena. Nature-themed trivia night. Do you know your trivia? You can test your knowledge of plants, wildlife, and habitat. You can win prizes as well. That's out at the Indian Creek Nature Center, 6 to 8:30 p.m. That comes up on Saturday, which looks dry with temperatures near 37 degrees. And of course, the first day in the month of February. That is a look at our forecast for fun.
Now this week we have had those warmer temperatures, but also melting snow. And that has caused the Iowa DOT to be telling drivers to be on the lookout for potholes.
Yeah, those are never fun.
No.
KCRG TV9's Connor Woodruff reports that's because thawing and freezing are prime conditions for creating potholes.
We're along 12th Avenue here in Cedar Rapids, just near the New Bow City Market. We're just going to give you a quick demonstration as to what can cause these potholes to form. Now, if you zoom in right here, you'll see with warmer temperatures this week, we'll be seeing a lot of the snow that's piled up on the side of the road melt away. Now that moisture is going to flow into cracks like the one you're seeing right there. After thawing and then refreezing, it can create potholes. The DOT is asking drivers to be on the lookout for any holes that show up on busy roads.
Obviously, you cannot prevent all of them from happening, but your older asphalt roads usually get more deteriorated over time, and that's where you're going to see a lot of your patches or your potholes come into play.
That's Chris Litcher with the Iowa Department of Transportation. He says depending on the size of a pothole and the speed that you hit one, it could cause some serious damage to your vehicle. That's why he's asking drivers to report any potholes they see so his team can get to them as soon as possible.
As long as they let the local authorities or police know, and they will get a hold of us eventually. And even if it's after hours, if it's bad enough, we'll come in after hours and throw patch in holes as well.
Litcher also wants to warn people about melting snow on the roads. With these fluctuating temperatures, snow could actually melt throughout the day and then refreeze overnight, making some parts of the road especially slick. In Cedar Rapids, Connor Woodruff, KCRG TV9 News.
Now, your first alert forecast with meteorologist Corey Thompson.
And those piles of snow we had around the edges of sidewalks and parking lots continue to melt today. As temperatures got well above normal again. 49 in Dubuque fell short of a record of 53 in 1914. Cedar Rapids looks like fell short of a record as well, just by a degree. Waterloo, though, set one. 56 beats 53, which was set in 1914, so that will be the new record going forward. Our Iowa City Cam otherwise shows our very sunny skies that we saw today, helping to warm us up. Those winds also helping to warm us up, too, from the west and southwest for at least a portion of the day. Nice sunset this evening leads into what should be a pretty nice evening if you're headed out and about. Now, temperatures have turned a little bit cooler. We're down into the upper 40s to low 50s, so not a big drop yet. But as those winds continue to ease tonight, westerly between 10 to 20 right now, they will allow for some of that cooling to take place. Now, between now and the next few hours, we still do have a little bit of wind left, and that's why it's highlighted here on your first alert in yellow. But later tonight is when those wind gusts should get less and less. Temperatures on your first alert forecast around 28 in Charles City, 30 in Iowa City. This will actually be a little bit warmer than this morning, and that will help, at least in terms of keeping us mild tomorrow. Now, those winds you see will be shifting a little bit during the night. More blue arrows means more of a northerly component to that. Incoming a little bit of a cloud deck as well, but it will be scattered. It doesn't look like it's going to be a big overcast area for most of us. Many of us still seeing those mostly clear skies. As that moves on tomorrow evening, winds will start to shift and come from the southwest. And that will actually be pretty key to sending us higher again on Thursday. Now tomorrow we're still well above our normal temperatures. 27 is our normal high for the date. 43 expected in Dubuque, up to 52 in Oskaloosa, 45 in Cedar Rapids. So it really is the northeast zone and surrounding areas that will be cooler compared to what we have been so far this week. But most of the week is spent with those warmer temperatures continuing. We're going to stay above normal as we go through Thursday into Friday. But you see just a little bit of a hint of some erosion of that warm air as we head toward the weekend. That's after a storm system that moves in from the southwest. This actually takes a path that would be pretty favorable for snow in eastern Iowa if we had colder air in place. But it looks like from bottom to top, we will keep things warm enough in the atmosphere to prevent a changeover here in eastern Iowa. Now, it's going to be close. We're kind of on the razor's edge there as this moves away, and you see up toward the Chicago area by midday Friday, there could be a little bit of a rain-snow mix there before that precipitation ends. Looks like we should just stay plain rain here in eastern Iowa. Now, as we head into the weekend, another little system moves in from the west, gives us a chance for a sprinkle or flurry on Saturday night. Does look pretty low impact at this point, not expecting much trouble from it. From that first system primarily, we are expecting the possibility of a quarter to a half inch of rain south of Highway 30. So decent amount of precipitation, especially considering the time of year. January is a pretty dry month, and typically we don't see a lot out of it. Now, in terms of our temperatures over the next few days as a result of this system, we will see a bit of a decline as we head toward the weekend, but Sunday's looking warm again. And early next week, even as we turn cooler, should not be overwhelmingly cold. We'll still keep things near or even above normal by a small margin as we go through that time frame too. So overall, not bad. As we keep saying, that's kind of the operative word as we go through the week.
Yeah, you know what? The fact that we are in the 40s and 50s, I think it put a lot of smiles on people's faces today. However, we do have to remember it's January, so the cold weather is going to come back, and we just have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, February brings a variety of conditions to eastern Iowa, and it can involve, like you said, those bitter cold temperatures too.
I think typically in February we could see several inches of snow too, potentially. I think typically in February up to like 8 or something like that.
Yeah, on average, I think that sounds about right. So yeah, we're not necessarily out of the woods yet there either. It sure has been snow lacking so far.
Yeah, it's sad to see the dead grass on the ground because you would rather see snow in that scenario. But we'll move on to today's weather-wise question. So today's question is about how one of the important tools meteorologists use to forecast the weather. We'll go ahead and see that question.
I'm Christian Burt, and I go to Isaac Newton Christian Academy. And my question is, how do weather balloons work?
That is a fantastic question, Christian. And weather balloons are launched from the surface by National Weather Service offices. And as they rise into the atmosphere, they actually expand in size. They can expand up to 20 feet in the atmosphere as the weather balloon rises. And the weather balloon rises at up to 100,000 feet in the atmosphere. It can get pretty high. This is the actual balloon, and attached to the balloon we have what's called an instrument package known as a radiosonde. This radiosonde has instruments that can measure air pressure. It can also measure the temperature and the dew point, and based on the location of the balloon too, we can measure the wind speed and direction. Now these are all of the weather offices that do launch those weather balloons. So you can see Davenport launches one, also Aberdeen, South Dakota. You can see several of these National Weather Service offices launching these weather balloons. Now that's all in total. Usually they're released twice a day by 90 National Weather Service offices. In addition to rising 100,000 feet, they can drift over 100 miles away from the site that they were launched at, east, west, north, south. And again, they do measure the temperature, humidity, air pressure, wind speed, and direction. They are very necessary for us as meteorologists to know what is going on all throughout the atmosphere. We don't need to just know what's going on at the surface. We need to know what's going on everywhere in the atmosphere to provide those forecasts. A lot of times the data you get from weather balloons is actually used in weather models. Some more information about the weather balloons. Once they rise too high in the atmosphere, they'll actually burst, and then they slowly descend because of a parachute. Parachutes are typically attached to that weather balloon, and then they can safely head to the ground. If you find a radiosonde package, they will actually have a mailing address on them, so you can go ahead and mail that instrument package back to the National Weather Service. That was a fantastic question today. If you would like to get a question asked here on First Alert Weather Now, head over to kcrg.com/unews.
And for the next few days, we'll see a variety of temperatures. 40s on Wednesday, still looking likely despite what will likely be a little bit of a downturn in our temperatures. Not expecting a big shift toward cooler there, but a little bit, certainly compared to the records we saw today. 52 on Thursday, you may be thinking some of those records in danger again. You would be right. Dubuque may tie its record based on our forecast right now. Waterloo again gets very, very close. Other locations, Cedar Rapids and Iowa City, at least at this point, looking to be in pretty good shape. It's Thursday night into Friday where we have that decent shot at some rain. We showed you how much rain we could expect there. Drier weather for the first day of February and Groundhog Day at this point. Mostly cloudy though, so any local groundhogs may have a little trouble with that shadow. It's next week when we could see another bout of some rain and snow move in. Pinpoint Futurecast shows the activity as it approaches Wednesday into Thursday. Could be in the form of some rain, could be in the form of some mix, could be in the form of some snow, depending on the track of the system. The overall consistent picture, though, has been for this system to provide potentially a decent shot at some precipitation as it approaches. We're still more than a week away, though, as it gets closer, so we will likely see changes in its track, its strength, its overall impacts here in eastern Iowa. Something to keep an eye on, though, as we head through that first week of February. As Hannah was saying earlier, things can change in a hurry. Right now, no drastic changes toward Arctic air, though, at least in the near future. We keep our temperatures near or above normal throughout the entire 9-day forecast. A little bit of rain wouldn't be too bad, though.
We definitely are dry considering how little snow we've gotten so far this winter, and farmers do need that moisture profile in the soil to be a little on the high side before you plant. So if we could get a little bit more moisture in our forecast, that'd be great.
I did see a little note from the National Weather Service the other day. Our frost depth, so the layer of the ground that is frozen at the top, is actually unusually deep right now, or was before it was this warm the last couple of days, because of how cold it was last week, with most areas having no snow on the ground. So all that cold air was able to make that dirt freeze up a little bit. So we'll have to see how that plays out over the next few weeks.
Yeah, the fact that it got that deep is actually pretty interesting.
Yeah. And we will have more tomorrow night here on First Alert Weather Now. Thanks for joining us tonight. Have a great rest of your night.